Welcome to Elevate to Clarity, the podcast where we discuss how to overcome your obstacles and level up in your purpose. And I am your host, Latasha Slide. My guest today is an activist, a history maker, mother of two, the host of a three-time award-winning podcast, the Dirty Bag Podcast, where she celebrates the highs, unpacks the lows, and sorts through all the in between. She, alongside her guests, unpacks what she refers to the grown folks' trenches. She feels that it's important for you to tell your story before someone else does. Please welcome my guest, my sis, Cookie Brown, to the show. Hey, sis, what's going on?
Baby, that was an intro.
Ah,
You did that.
thank you,
You did
thank
that.
you.
You
I'm
absolutely did.
honored.
I
Thank
bet you
you.
did that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. I am definitely someone that appreciates my guest time and everything that they bring to it. But this is a thing. You are an award winning podcast host. How does that feel?
Look, you know what? Now I would have answered this question a little bit different in 2023, but it just feels like all right, keep going, and that the people that you serve, your audience, they still like you. So make sure you continue to do things that keep them liking you. It could be, it's you, but also once you get it, it's about your community because a lot comes with it. I've won my third one actually this year, January, and you have to adjust with what comes with it because now that means that somebody said you're good. So when folks think you're good, that means there's pressure to step your stuff up, but then you deal with the other things that come along with it. Everybody don't always think you deserve the things that you get.
Mm.
So it can be a very they say it's lonely at the top. I ain't nowhere near the top yet, but my climb, it starts to get a little lonely.
Ah, well, then that means that you still, because I mean, someone actually acknowledged your hard work even in the beginning, right? So it's the trenches, right? In the beginning, this is hard. It's hard trying to get noticed. If some of us
Yeah.
don't do it for all the notoriety, but we want to do it because it's a passion and something that we've been called to do. So I still say celebrate that, even though it was back then, it's still relevant
Yeah.
today, right? Because it
Yeah.
shows someone like myself or other podcasters, or even those that want to get into our space, that is still relevant, that you still can do this, because it's worth other people saying, you know what, I see you, I acknowledge you, and that's what I see, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good thing, the reason that winning awards is important is for other people that are thinking about creating to get in the game, get their head in the game. Because one of the reasons that I pushed off starting the podcast once I kind of decided that I was going to do it is that I didn't have enough followers, that I wasn't attached to this, that, and the third. So I felt like you had to look a certain way. Um, Certain vanity metrics had to be in place for you to start and to do well. So for me, that first win was like, I'm doing this for the little people. And I remember when I got on stage and I did my acceptance speech at Best of Black Dallas 2023, and I said, I don't have a lot of followers, but what I do have is community. We grown folks. And I meant that. That was my way of saying, look, I don't have this huge following, but the people that rock with me are intentional. Like they know me. They probably got my cell phone number. So I did this for them.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of that, have anybody told you you look like New York? Remember the New York from Flavor of Love, Flavor Flav?
Never. It might be this hair because I'm always in blonde hair.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That's like a
Yes,
sidebar.
I know. Ain't nobody ever told me that. But this hair, I don't wear. This is my second time wearing this.
That's who I see her. I was like, well, she you
I
married.
never wear hair like this. I just say, let me put this on. I'm letting my edges breathe. I'm trying to do half wigs a little bit so I can let my edges breathe because I really ain't got none no more. So I look all of that rubbing against the lace, baby. It's gonna scalp you bald. So I said, we
Oh,
gonna
that's
breathe.
cute.
I'm gonna do a little half wig. I ran the flat iron through the little pieces I had out, the little three pieces of hair, and I said I'm gonna just throw this on because I
It's
ain't gotta work. Yeah, so that's funny. I've never got that ever.
it's very cute, but you're giving her right now anyway.
That's
So
wild.
tell me your why. Like, where did it all start for you? I want to know who Cookie Brown is before your podcast.
Well, before the podcast, first of all, I have to say this to people when I say I have a podcast and they kind of cringe because podcasts do get a bad name. And I do understand why. But I went to school for mass communications. So that's radio, TV, and journalism. I actually studied media. So it's not me coming into this world. It ain't just, it's not completely random. Now, I didn't go into pursuing a media career because they wasn't really, journalists wasn't making no money, which is what I did in college. I was a writer and I was an editor and they was averaging 25K a year. I had a 3-year-old son. I had to get a job. So I went into sales. So throughout my corporate career, I always knew something was missing. Like I always wanted to use my voice, but to be able to do it the way I wanted to do it, unfiltered, because you can't do that in journalism. But I would say 2014, that was the year the protest kicked off in Ferguson. I was living in Kansas for work, but I'm from St. Louis, and I knew the cousin of Mike Brown, that's the 18-year-old that was murdered at the hands of Darren Wilson. So I started driving back and forth to these protests like every weekend. And through that, what I learned is we have to be our own media. That's something we all learn real quick because all of these stories on ABC, Fox, CNN, and that wasn't what happened out there. So I did start going live at the protest. I started recording it, and then I would come back home, and during my weekday, I had a sales job. I was a market development manager for Coca-Cola. So I'm in my car for 8 hours a day going into all of these pockets of Kansas in these little racist mom and pop restaurants, these accounts where people do not want me there. They don't, it was a lot going on. So I would go live and just do videos, just talk about how my work day was going, what I was experiencing. So combining my storytelling with the protests to what was going on at work. And then I would be at home with a bonnet on my couch talking about my love life. Eventually people start suggesting you should do a podcast. I wasn't with it. I was like, no, first of all, I have a degree, mass comm journalism. I'm not like, I had like a snooty attitude about podcasts because even though I wasn't in media, I still respected real journalists. So to
Yeah.
me, I didn't look at, to me, it's like podcasting. It felt like a bootleg Timu version of what I went to school to study. So it was
Yeah.
like, no. But after a while, I kept doing all these stories and people would start responding to it. And it was like, you know what? Number one, we got to tell our stories. I've already learned that from being in the streets. After a while, people from the protest, day one, people died, people that I stood alongside. So it was just like, we have to tell our stories while we're here. So you know what? Go ahead and give all these thoughts at home. So it was really birthed out of people suggesting it and me realizing while you're here, you have to tell the right stories because you are a part of history. You got to tell your stories just because you don't want somebody else speaking for you. You don't want people controlling your narrative. So I had a
That's
name for it. It changed last minute before I launched. And here we are. So it just came out of the need for genuine truth telling. I never really wanted to be a podcaster in the beginning. I just wanted to talk. And that's what I did.
I was going to ask you that, like, how did you come up with the name? But I'm going to ask you. You can come back to that in a second. But I
Yeah.
definitely commend you for that because I too have a radio, television, broadcast background, and but I actually went to school originally for that, and then I changed my major to business because I thought I wanted to be a businesswoman. People take me seriously, right? But I think God brings us back full circle to what He originally wanted us to do, anyways, to use our voice to make sure that we do impact the right people in the right way. So
Yeah.
I think it still ends up back to where it started and why we chose that particular area in the first place. Right, because
Yeah.
you definitely have a gift for it. It comes naturally to you. I've seen your video, I've listened to your podcast, so it makes sense. It really, really does. Regardless of how it came to fruition for you, it still is aligned for what God is basically bringing forth and opening the doors for you for what you're doing right now. So it definitely makes sense.
I appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All facts.
So, why the Dirty Bag podcast?
I didn't pick that name. When you talk about purpose, God, that download came to me in 2017. So I had a work injury and I ended up being at home for a long time. Shoulder was jacked up. I ended up having surgery. And I started putting sticky notes on the walls. At this point, I kind of walked away from protesting. Like there was one of us was unalived and it rocked me to the point where I was like battling depression and all of that. So what I would do is I would put sticky notes on the wall. Like if I were to have a conversation with these protesters, this is the topic we would talk about. So every thought that came to my head, I had a walk-in closet full of sticky notes. So when it came time to start forming this podcast, it was going to be called Sticky Notes. Right as I was getting everything together, like I'm driving to Dallas looking for a place to stay and all of that. One day I was in the bathroom, and first it was Dirty Purse, but that
Okay.
name was taken. I got all the way towards the end and found out that there was already a podcast called Dirty Purse. But I was like, well, dag. But then it was like, you know what? Bag is gender neutral. But I was in the bathroom, and it was just kind of like these thoughts start going, cleaning out your bag, cleaning out your mess, cleaning out your dirty bag. So again, I didn't choose the name. That
Gotcha.
name that name was put on me because it was definitely going to be called Sticky Notes. For 3 years in my head, there was going to be a podcast called Sticky Notes.
Oh, wow. Look at
Yeah,
God. Look at that.
I did not pick Dirty Bag.
Again, no, Cookie is like he was is that's a discerning word. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
thought you were gonna do it your way, and he was like, no, as long as you got quiet and silent, because you were actually writing it down and making it clear, right? You were making the note clear and plain. So it came to you while you were in the action of trying to do the thing that he was calling you to do. That's a powerful statement, by the way.
yeah.
Very
A lot
much
of people don't know that. Yeah, I had a
so.
whole. In fact, I even screenshot the story the other day when I decided I was gonna launch a podcast. It was in my stories, and it says Sticky Notes, and it was like 2018. Like that was the day I officially decided like I was gonna do it. It's gonna be called Sticky Note. Yeah, so no, I held on to that name for years.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
not. Yeah.
You actually did a post that got my attention, and I really wanted to have a conversation about it because I actually had a conversation with someone else about this particular topic that I'm going to ask you about, and may personally have felt this before. So you actually posted about when Black women reach success and what other people even feel like success looks like. You feel that there's no grace, and it feels like punishment. Why do you think that is?
You know what? A lot of reasons. But I'm gonna tell y'all how we multitask. I gave my child a mental health day because she been staying up late. I'm one of them mamas. Nevea, mommy's recording. You gotta quiet down, okay? She's a studio kid actually, but she just well. I speak on my. Well, I think what was going on at the time was that I had just finished watching Meg the Stallion's documentary,
Mm.
and I realized there were so many parallels with her and myself as far as like she lost her mom early, her dad early. I had all of like my major deaths, if that's what you want to call them, from eighth grade to like my senior year of college. So I'm watching her and I'm like, I'm seeing this girl fight through all these things, but the people, the foundation that you need is not there. So you have to be independent. So I resonate so much with her. So when I see people coming at her, I just be getting mad. Like, do you know what it is to lose like your guardians and have to navigate this world and go through all these things while you're trying to build things by yourself? It's very difficult. So I looked at the fact that I resonated so much with her losing, so much. I don't know what that is. Her, am I back?
Yes. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. But now I can't see you no more. You can still see me, right?
I can.
Okay. So in me seeing that, I was just like, dang, people like be punching down on her. Y'all be forgetting the fact that not only did she lose her mother, but she got shot. But I was looking at my own journey as well and how I went from being like this just underdog, moving to this new city that nobody knew, to how things started to change for me as good things would happen no matter how big or small. It started to get really uncomfortable for me, you
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
the silence gets very loud. The people that cheer you on early suddenly want people that cheer you on early suddenly want you to be humble.
Mhm.
When you're an underdog, people love you, but when winning becomes a part of your fabric, them claps, they they start doing like this, and then it just becomes silence and following. So it's just like, dag. But if I post about something negative,
Mm.
those same quiet claps suddenly pop back up. I think I was talking about how I just really wanted a break recently, like just from social media and everything. Not ever walking away from my podcast, but with the social political climate we are in, I was just very drained because what's going on now takes me back full circle to what started this podcast. It was the social and political climate we were in back then that laid the foundation for this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was when, during Trump's first run, that's when I really started documenting. But I said I wanted a break. Like I just feel drained. And somebody that had stopped clapping was one of the first ones to respond, yeah, you should take a break. You should take a break. I immediately knew what it was. I was like, you're not saying this out of concern for my mental health. You want me to stop. And you were happy to see me in a moment where I'm clearly drained, I'm clearly depleted. You didn't ask, what can I do to support you? You didn't ask, what's happening. And, just there's so many other things that person could have said in that moment aside from, yeah, you need to take a break.
Wow.
So you
Yeah.
really got to watch your sensitivity to how people move around you and whether or not they're happy for your success is heightened. And then you realize, okay, the more what as you do better, people don't have grace for you and they actually sometimes wait for you to stumble.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing the information regarding the loss of. You said both of your parents. Did I hear you correctly?
No, no, not my father, but I was raised after my mother died, my grandparents were the ones that took me in.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my grandmother died about 10 months later, and then my grandfather, the day I graduated from college, actually, he battled colon cancer, and his organs literally start shutting down that day.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just back to back to back, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I can relate. I lost my mother at I was 12 and she was 29, breast cancer,
oh,
and so I definitely can
sorry.
relate. So I understand that definitely clearly. I was
Yeah,
okay. So yeah, so thank you for sharing that. But I when I hear that, I feel like as far as going back to when someone wants you to fail, it's nothing but the enemy trying to get in your head to say, you know what, yeah, maybe you should stop, because when there's a blessing on the other side of all of the trauma, and sometimes we have to get quiet and silent so we can actually protect our
yeah.
peace, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
um
I'm here for that.
yeah, but I do identify with when you have friends and family that are not, they don't see you for who you are today, they still see you who you were then. They don't see the growth in Cookie today because they still want you to be stuck back then. So that was a conversation that I had, because I'm like, you know what, I had someone that come in at one point was like, oh, or they text me and were like, oh, I see you, congratulations on the book, or cry like, but I'm like, I'm posting, but you're not following. So how are you? So you basically, you're very in the
Let's
background,
let
but
me
you're
do
not
it.
important. You know
Let
what
me let me pop it on that real quick. You also have to be very mindful for people that want access to you privately. What people will do, and I call that just keeping a foot in the door, just in case. People want to make sure they won't support you. They will not do anything to contribute towards your goal to success. But what they will do is do just enough behind closed doors. They'll do things privately because nobody can see what they're saying privately. They don't have to worry about looking phony to the people that they've spoken down on you to publicly. So people got to move different when they're not happy for you. They will not celebrate you publicly because to do that would be they would discredit everything that they've said about you. So I mean, you got to watch that. Again, I notice all those things. I'm working on myself because I'm not good about ignoring it. One thing about me, I'm gonna address. If I don't address it directly, baby, I'm gonna turn you into an episode. You're gonna be content, and you will know that it's me. And you will. I will. I always hit my target. I'm petty like that. I always hit my target. You will always know I'm talking to you. So I say all that to say is find something safe to play with. Find something safe to do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, people don't always, and you build a new community, but it sucks because you want the one you started with. You talk about like, what did it feel winning an award? I've said multiple times, like some of them nights I was sad because it was like, dang, the people that I used to go live with sometimes that heard my ideas early on, like they not sitting here, even though it's a room full of people clapping for you. It just there's a little bit of a void when it's not the people that you started with, especially when y'all had so many plans or you really just wanted to put your people on. Because when the podcast started early, I would ask anybody. I didn't even qualify you. If we was cool and you was my friend, you deserve to be a part of my platform.
Oh,
Don't do that, y'all. Which, by the way, that's a horrible idea.
yeah, don't do
So,
that.
no, because I did it in one of my best episodes. Me and that girl don't even talk like that no more. She got owned by my second guest. So don't just be bringing folks on your platform because y'all cool.
Yeah,
That's like hiring somebody for a job because y'all cool. They need to be qualified.
right.
But yeah, the sadness of not having the people that you started with as you're growing, it sucks. Don't let nobody tell you different. I don't care. It sucks.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question. But just to finish off of what you were stating was, I don't respond because I learned a long time ago to allow God to deal with my battles and my enemies, and it
Yeah.
always works out because they are far away from me for a reason, and I'm okay with that because you're basically getting a lens, very small lens, a glimpse of what's really happening in my world and in my space. So He allows those that or friends or people I meet in new communities and podcasts and conferences to cheer me on. And I'm okay with that because that way it's not just being in the community of like-minded people, but the right-minded people for me. And that's my thing
I
is
can
I want to
value.
make sure that I have the right-minded people in my space because of where I know He's taken me. And that
Come
way
on.
those that are supposed to be there will go with me or He will remove you. So I know, sis, don't say nothing. I mean, it's great content, but at the same time, you're growing to another level, and on the other
Yeah.
side of that mountain, you'll find your blessing. So let Him deal with that.
I love giving God a little help every now and then.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And
I
so
do. But I
I
will turn it, and I don't miss an opportunity for content. If I can get one
yeah.
off and turn it into content, I do it.
Yeah. So that takes me to my question though, Cookie. So when did you get or have your clarity moment when God was trying to, and it's a three-part thing. So prune you, which is what I
Mhm.
heard just a few minutes ago. He pruned you, prepared you for your elevation. So when did you realize God was pruning? So I guess when notice that He was actually removing all of the toxic people, removing all
Okay.
the negativity, removing all
Oh,
the,
that's
you know what I
good.
mean, all of that.
I had an aha moment beginning of this year. So beginning of 2025, I did a 45-day um, just no alcohol. I did dry January and half a dry February because the end of 2024 was really heavy.
Mm,
Publicly, it looked great. Again, we winning. But I was kind of going through some things. I was kind of just, them valleys, peaks and valleys.
yeah.
But in that 45 days of me not drinking, I wasn't out much. I wasn't communicating much. I really just wanted to be silent. And one of my biggest prayers was, God, like, bring the right people around me and remove who ain't. Because I kind of started suspecting that some energy around me wasn't necessarily right for me any longer. So it was turning into something that was making me uncomfortable, even though I was trying to be cool on the surface. But when I came off that 45 days of celibacy, well, first of all, yeah, actually, that's
Okay,
been
come
like a
on
year.
through.
That's been a year. No, I ain't had no peen in a minute. So yeah, we can get to that. I've not been doing anything. It's dry. She is locked down. There's a belt. So
Okay.
we can throw that in there. But when I came off that 45 days, I got a really big opportunity, and it was to MC a Black media mixer here in Dallas. Huge deal for me. I've been to the event before. I loved it. And the fact that I was chosen, I was elated, right?
Yeah.
So when the announcement dropped, well, prior to, I pitched somebody for it. The person that created the event said, "Who do you think would be good?" I named somebody that at that time, again, I was getting vibes from, but in my mind, if there's an opportunity, I'm saying your name for it. If you're good for that ecosystem, which this person was.
Yeah.
When I tell you, and I told them that I pitched them for the event, but I didn't tell them I was a host yet. They called to let me know that they've been chosen. I said, yeah, actually, I went ahead and told her. But at that time, I also gave her a no to something else. She wanted me to be a part of something, to come support something. First of all, in my gut, it was telling me nah. But I wasn't coming outside anyways. I was really sitting with myself in that season. But when the flyer dropped that I was the MC of this event, when I tell you it got so quiet, that person did not speak. They did not say a word. Mind you, I pitched them for the event. But when I got there that day, I'm so amped up. It's a good opportunity. It's all these things. And when we ran into each other, there was such nasty energy. And
Mm,
and she even asked me, so we friends today? Keep in mind, we've not had an argument. All I simply said was no to coming to something. And outside of that, I had just been in a space of solitude. I hadn't been talking to anybody. I hadn't really been going to any networking events. It was really just me, myself, my thoughts, and God. And for me to experience that, of all moments, in that moment, right before it was time for me to clock in, I said, okay, Beth, we good here.
Yeah.
We good. It was just like, I didn't even have to overthink it or anything like that. It was like, you know what that is, right?
Yep.
So that was a moment of removing somebody that I had developed a pretty good bond with over time in a short time frame. But there was some elements that would not be good for me long term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a way of pruning it, especially if he's trying to get rid of everything so you're clear. Because sometimes when he's preparing you for the next season, you have to be by yourself, and the people that you think are supposed to be that's supposed to be going with you are
Yeah.
not who they are, because then he start to reveal the actual truth of behind why they want to be in your space in the first place.
Oh, well, that was kind of admitted a little bit. That person had told me prior. Again, the thing is, when people tell you things, you have to take it for what it is. I think sometimes we brush things off, and then God got to give you a bigger smack in the face. Now, I
Hmm.
want to give you a nice little spanking about what it is. That person had admitted to me prior to that they befriended me because they found me attractive.
Oh wow.
But I laughed it off. I laughed it off.
Okay.
I was like, okay. I
Breathe.
laughed it off. Yeah. So I knew, but in that moment, in such an important moment for me, a big opportunity for me, somebody brought that type of negative energy right to my doorstep. And
Mm,
it was just like, okay. So in this, when I asked God to put the right people around me and remove the ones that ain't, you got to be ready for who it is and
yeah.
be okay with that.
And
And
your mindset was actually saying, I'm looking out for you. I actually put you in the game for this opportunity. And what happened?
but it taught me in that moment everything is not for everybody. Sometimes we look at, I'm here to serve, I'm here. There should be discernment behind all of your moves, even if it seems like you're like the right thing to do because it's nice. Everybody does not need a seat at your table. You don't need to go around. Sometimes that opportunity might have just been for you. God might have gave that to you, but now you bring in the wrong energy in it, and now it could have went left because
Yes.
we definitely had a little back and forth with the whole are we going to be free. We went back and forth for a little bit until the sound guy came over and said, I can hear y'all, because I had the mic in my hand. So at that moment it was like, if that ain't a sign, that's
Yeah.
low-key sabotage.
Yeah.
So it just, yeah, you can't do everything for everybody. You really gotta just tap in and make sure it's what you're supposed to be doing. Make sure it's what you're supposed to be doing, not what you want to do. Because sometimes we do things because we want to be liked. It's
Yeah.
not always for you to do. But yeah, so that was a tough lesson. It was rough.
So how do you prepare for, yeah, I mean, as far as in your prepared season to get to the next level, what do you do and how do you identify that God is actually preparing you for something different, something new?
First of all, I definitely shut up.
Mm.
Dallas is a city where you can get distracted very easily. It's so much going on, so you always want to be at everything. So what I've had to learn is, girl, every networking event is not for you.
Mm.
Every invite, obviously, you don't need to say yes to. Really sit and ask yourself, what is this doing for me? How is this feeding me in this moment? Does it really make sense? And what do you feel about it? Because I did a lot of things where I didn't really feel good about it. And I got there and it was just like, man, something crazy happened. And it was like, see, had your butt been home, you wouldn't have lost your doggone retainer. See, now you got to buy a new one, and your gap starting to open back up. See, now you went there, and then the parking was $50. You went here, and you got a flat tire. You shouldn't have been in any of these spaces. So for me, it's about getting back into a stronger prayer life. Because I can definitely say I neglected it quite a bit. Because there was a time, y'all, where your girl didn't miss a Bible study. She was being pruned, being prepared to be somebody first lady, all of that. I'm kind of like a reformed church girl in a lot of ways,
Okay.
in many ways. So I know what to do when it's time to get on the field.
Okay.
I understand that you need to go ahead and fast. Let's just go ahead and turn that TV off. We're not drinking for X amount of minutes. You're trying to get answers. So anytime that I've fasted in my life, I've always gotten the answer. It's
Mm.
just having the discipline to go back to that. So for me, I'm in a season of you've had these tools and that work very well in your 20s. You grown as hell. How are you neglecting the tools that you know work? You know
Yes.
that work. You've done it. You've seen the fruit. You already know. So
Yeah.
it's me knowing that okay, it's gonna require some things on your end if you're wanting these answers. You gonna have to. You got to do your part too, girl. You can't just be like, I want a better podcast. I want better game and make some money. You have to do some things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also do the things that you're supposed to be doing them, not just because you're trying to get something. So for me, it's going back to the basics.
Yeah.
That's really it.
And then sometimes though, I do notice it's like what you said. Some when you know better, you do better. You're supposed to just follow the leader. When God say, "Hey, you supposed to fast, let go, and just allow me to direct your path and be the light at your feet," right? So,
Yeah.
but you have to be able to be tapped in and know, okay, this is what He means by this. I need to chill for a second, right?
No, for a lot. Like sit down. Anytime I went in a space that I knew I really didn't need to go in, maybe wasn't something massive happened, but there was definitely something happened, and I knew it was a little tap, and it was like, see,
You didn't listen.
with your hard headed ass, go ahead and play if you want to. You know what that was.
When would you allow yourself to get uncomfortable to reach your purpose or to be elevated? Because I know sometimes, like for me, starting my podcast, I'm such an old school girl, right? I do business. I enjoy I like the texture of a good conversation face to
Uh,
face. I like community. I like live. I want to see who I'm talking to because that's how I grew up. It's like
yeah.
just that one on one, not the text messages and the internet and all those things.
Yes.
So I had to be stretched. He had to literally say, well, if you want this next step, because somebody is trying to get me to, even if it's networking or, all of the things, you have to be able to show up for yourself, not just for other people. Because I show up for everybody else. I praise you. I'll market you. I'll speak you up.
Stop.
But when it was my time to do it for myself, I was like, nah, it's good. And so I had to be stretched and get uncomfortable. When was that moment for you when you say, you know what, I really have to get out of this thing so that I can be elevated in the purpose that God is calling you for?
When you are doing that, you first of all, you have to have something for yourself. Ain't none of us called to just give everything away.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's also been me. If you look back at all my old social media before the podcast popped off, almost 85% of my posts was promoting somebody's business, somebody's event, or I'm taking a photo of somebody and writing this long paragraph. I ain't even really felt you out yet, but we got a good vibe. So I'm gonna write a long paragraph of how dope you are, all these things. We ain't been through nothing together yet. I don't even know how you gonna act when it's time for you to clap for me. But this is how I used to move.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when it was my turn,
You nothing.
the biggest lesson I've learned is save something for yourself and take your time because sometimes people love you because you're laboring for them. Ain't nobody gonna turn down free marketing. Nobody, you are the dopest person on earth as long as you are doing things for other people and you are assisting their bottom line. There was this group that I supported very heavily, and they did an event once that looked like it was going to be celebrating women. So I'm like, all right, bet. I'm going to push off this trip to Atlanta one more day. I was coming
Mm-hmm.
to Atlanta for the Women in Radio conference, but I was driving. I pushed it back one more day just to attend this event. 'Cause I'm like, oh, we all being celebrated as women, sure. And when I showed up to this event, the people that were highlighted were people that had a lot of followers.
Oh.
There were specific people that weren't really consistent presence. And when I sat there and watched it, not saying that I needed to be called up, because I thought it would be a collective of just the women that supported this thing in general. But when I saw that, it was like, okay, y'all rock with me because of how I use my platform to highlight you and talk. But you don't value me in the way that I value you. We call this kind of a family. So I backed up a little bit. And then when I was asked to do something for that same, group, and then the question got dropped about my rate. I gave my rate, and suddenly I was being asked to discount it.
Oh.
Now pause. Let's go back. I've done things freely, always supported, always elevated. But when it comes time to ask me for some labor, and I'm telling you what it is, now we need to negotiate. So I
Yeah.
kind of had two moments in that situation. It was like, Cookie, okay, this is you doing too much. You mean well and you do it because you like XYZ, but you got sometimes people might not even rock with you for real. They rock with what you do for them. So you need to take your time. And that's why when people ask to come on my podcast, generally speaking, I don't immediately say yes. And I think some people feel a way about that. I don't do quick yeses. I'll watch you for a while. Number one, I want to see if in your waiting season to be a guest on the Dirty Bag, are you actually going to support this platform?
Yeah.
Because if you don't support it already, why would you want to come on something that you don't support, that you don't want to share with your audience? Because the whole purpose of coming on is to share with your audience. So it's just been little adjustments like you need to make sure you're dealing with people. First of all, you want things to be in alignment. You want to get to know who you are sharing your very sacred space with because you know they're going to benefit. Who are these people? What's the purpose? Is this really good for you? And that's required me to move slow. Because anytime I haven't, I regretted it. And that's why I'm 50% solo. Baby, I can get on the mic barefooted, flat footed in podcasts with no notes. I can rap. I've been running my mouth my whole life. I don't need guests all the time. So I'm glad that I started also doing the solos early on because it's my way of stretching myself and letting my audience get to know me before I open the gates for them to get to know somebody else and for me to pour into somebody else. So I always make time to come back and center Cookie and make her the main character.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, I'm gonna have to get that from you because I really am someone that pour into so, but I don't let anybody take advantage of me because trust me, trust and believe. But I definitely know how to discern it. I go to God before everything now. It's
Oh,
just one of
yeah.
those things that I have to vibe right, and so like when
Yeah.
in approaching you and asking, and you said it when we opened up, we were having a conversation before we started the pod. It's like, do you know who I am? I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm going to research. I know
Don't
exactly
be
who.
researching me. Girl, I went on a podcast and you could tell this man wanted to do some red pill, blue pill, even though we hung out at Podcast Summit the year before the first Podcast Summit. One of his earliest questions was, what is your relationship with your mother?
uh,
I've talked about my mom, me being a motherless so many times on the podcast. So many times. So it's like you didn't do basic research on me. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, for me, it's sensitive, but I also know that's my connection to certain people because I understand the fact of me being in a space when I lost my mother at 12 to where I knew that God was showing me that I was going to have to go through that season so that I can be there for somebody else later, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And then two, it allowed me to realize later on in my adult years that her passing wasn't really about her, it was about me. It was a lot about the person that was living. What am I going to do
Yeah.
after she's gone? So I totally can understand that.
Yeah.
And some people really don't know how to approach it when you actually say that kind of thing because they don't know what to say if they still have their parent.
Oh no, he kept digging. The point he was trying to make was, "This is why you ain't got a man." I saw
Oh,
where he was trying to
okay.
frame it that way. I was like, actually, I was raised by a man, but okay. But yeah,
Okay.
but it just goes to people not doing basic. When the people don't do their homework, sometimes it can put you in a very awkward spot if your intentions for the conversation
Yeah.
are not good.
Yeah. Not
Like,
here. Yeah. I totally
yeah,
understand
it was weird. It was weird, man.
I do. I do. I
Tell
mean,
you what.
I think that you are an amazing human being. I really do. I love
Thank
your
you.
energy. I love exactly what you bring to the table. I love the fact that you have this open book, this conversations regarding people, real life storytelling. Like, okay, we have trauma. We go through things. Everything is not perfect. Yeah, we may be from the hood, but this is how we get through it, and this is what we're doing. Very non-judgmental type of thing, and that's what we need, that honest, being honest right now.
That's the foundation of it is not just, I've said this so many times. You got to keep your judgment low because life will humble you real quick.
Yeah.
I have talked about my audience, my day one, they know so much of my tea. And it's important because it's like if I'm expecting somebody to sit across from me on the mic and for me to get in all of their business, but for
Mm.
me to never share anything about myself, what you hiding, sis? So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's always important for me to talk about, I mean, and Sarah Jake said this in an interview she did recently. She said, I share my scars, not my wounds. And I
Mhm.
definitely resonate with that. Like, let me get through some things first. Once I feel like I'm through it and I didn't, or I'm on a healing journey from it and I can process it better, now I'll talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's important to be transparent. If I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't do this. Just so many other things I could do. Paying for studio time, having to be online and dropping content. I want to be regular people. So I have to love this. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. I
Yeah.
promise I would.
Yeah, I
But
do agree. So
yeah.
if someone is actually listening to this podcast and they follow you and they're listening to me, or they will decide to follow you and become a part of your community. And I talk a lot about faith, and I talk a lot about business and things of that nature, and just purpose. Um, what can you share about your journey that will help the next woman get to the next level that she feels right now? She's broken, but yet she wants to either do what we're doing in podcasting, or she just want to be elevated to the next level, but she's still stuck. What would you say to her?
First, I'm gonna say feel your feelings. I think so many of us walk around trying to present like we're okay when we're not. So first of all, you don't give anybody the opportunity to pour into you. But you can't even be honest about what you're going through or for God to do anything because you're not honest with yourself. I take breaks. I know some people are against that. Some coaches are against that. That's why I have seasons of my podcast. I break things up in a season. I have a very intentional short season. It's definitely a little short. And then I dip off for a minute to make sure I'm good. So I believe in breaks to check in and make sure you're good because you can't always do that when you're trying to show up for everybody else. That's me. And I remember my why. You have to remember why you do. Sometimes we get lost and we forget our why. When you know what your why is, I might be broken right now, but I know I'm gonna get through this. I done went through some of the worst moments of my life as I've been building this podcast. Some of the worst things, and people wouldn't know because I powered through it.
Mhm.
But because I've created during those times, it's turned me into a totally different woman. So I would
Mhm.
say number one, I'm obviously keep going till you know you keep going till it's time to sit your butt down, and only you know when it's time to sit down.
Mhm.
Journal. I am an advocate for journaling because when you write, I think it allows a certain amount of honesty. When you let that pen go, you're gonna say some things that are uncomfortable about you, and now you can look at it. You can tangibly see this is what I'm dealing with. Maybe it's my weight. Maybe it's me being promiscuous right now in order to get rid of some pain and numb it. Whatever it is you're doing right now, when you put pen to paper and you look at it and you cry it out, okay, I didn't got this. I didn't did this. God, you saw that I just wrote all this out. There's nothing else I can do. I want to do this thing. I want to create this thing, but right now I am depleted. I got nothing. You got to step in. I said what I had to say about it. Now what? I ain't got nothing else. So
Right.
that's you, big dog. So taking them breaks and sitting with your feelings and why you stuck, why you in a rut. But as long as you remember your why, and stop following everybody. Unfollow some people. It ain't gotta be because y'all beefing. It's okay to keep your eyes. I am team. Keep your eyes on your own plate. Because another reason that you feel broken and stuck is because you watching everybody and you're comparing your day one to somebody else's day 1,000. You can't do that. I don't like following a bunch of podcasts. Even within this group, I don't follow everybody. There's no reason for it. I might do it for a little bit. After a while, I might remove it. Do what you got to do to focus. I believe that when I have fewer distractions, I do better. I don't want to know what everybody else got going on. Unless we collaborate, we making some money together, we really doing something. Even then, my coworkers, anytime I've been in a corporate environment, they ain't on my social media for what?
Right.
I
Right.
like setting boundaries with people. I believe that helps too. Because sometimes the root of our stuff is people pleasing. We're wanting somebody watching us to see. We want to prove something to folks.
Yeah.
Ciao, bye.
Child,
Ciao, bye.
yes, yes. What's next for you, Cookie? What are you working on?
You know, look, I gave a hint at something. I've learned to not always let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So definitely, I will say more live shows. I did my first live show last year. It sold out at the Berkshire Wine Lounge. I thoroughly enjoy being on the mic in person when it's my show and it's my program, and I get to give people dirty bag live, like the way we do it, raw and uncut. So definitely more of that. But a few other projects that I've put off for about a decade that I start and I stop that I started and stopped right along with the idea of this podcast. So we working. There'll definitely be more different versions of Dirty Bag. Let's just say that.
Okay,
It's other
okay.
forms where you can consume my thoughts. But yeah, ultimately more live shows and just more growth. Because when you allow yourself to grow, you don't. When you allow growth, you don't know what opportunities can happen from that. So
I do agree with that. Where can the listeners find you, ma'am?
come on, y'all. Y'all can go ahead, go to the Dirty Bag YouTube, go to the Dirty Bag Instagram. We be cutting up on TikTok, baby. I love. Ain't no rules on TikTok, so get me on the apps and speak.
All right. I love it. I love it. So for everybody that is tuned in to Elevate to Clarity right now, like this, when I tell you her heart is pure, she means well. When I actually met her, she was very warm and inviting to me. And you guys know that I just don't have anybody, any person on my podcast that really just want to be a part of a conversation. It has to be a meaningful conversation. She has been through some things and she's being authentic. She's real. And I appreciate sisters like that, sisters that walk with faith, walk with God, and have impact and know exactly what her purpose is in this world. So I really do appreciate it. So the things that I actually heard her say again, love who love you before you actually try to love on somebody else, because people want, they love what you're doing for them, they love the laboring that you do for them, but you have to remember who you are and why you're doing it, know your why, and making sure that everything is aligned with what God has called you for. Because sometimes we can just get caught up in just doing all of the things because it just looks good, but is it an alignment with what God has called you to do? So be careful with that and be quiet, get still, and make sure that you're listening to what God is doing. When you actually feel frustrated, stuck, and confused about some things, it's okay to be by yourself. So again, this has been another great episode of Elevate to Clarity. Remember, all things are possible, but clarity makes them elevate. And I'll see you at the top. Take care.